Okay, it's recording now, so you're just gonna talk now. Go ahead.
Yeah, popism is dead, and I think people forgot, and somehow we thought popism was dead a long time ago. Popism didn't freaking die. Popism went ultra. It went neo. It went ugly. It went hideous. It went grotesque. It's hyper neo popism, ultra competitive that has completely engulfed this society. That is complete, and I think even Warhol couldn't hypothesize. And Warhol's magnificent, his incredible, brilliant genius, which even critics today don't get him. I get him. He called out popism. He was totally mockery. To think that he wasn't completely up to what he was up to is so ridiculous. I hear people all the time that say he wasn't. He was so incredible, brilliant. You read into him. Yeah, a lot of brilliant people in communication skills. I overcame it. I had a very similar path as him as a child. He was sick, so was I sick. You know, I was, this nuclear radiation. And he could, at night, when he would come home after he would do his gigs, God, when you read his writings, when he wrote about, when people would just think, you can see how ridiculous. His communication skills were what they were. But he was smart enough to find Edie because he was so Freudian in the sexuality, and he was so understanding about how ridiculous this culture had already morphed into, putting these celebrities on gigantic pedestals, being famous just for being famous. Now, he used people like Elvis and Marilyn who weren't famous just for being famous. But he showed incorporating in the factory, and he started to talk about that, and he gave a platform for incredible artists. There was a lot of brilliant artists that still exist today, and they kind of just got tired. You think about, I always go back to the Physical Graffiti album cover of Led Zeppelin, which next time I'm in Manhattan, I go by that building every time I'm there. It's still there. It's a genius. He's a protege of Warhol's. Madonna's writer, producer, protege of Warhol's. All this stuff evolves directly. I always go back to Madonna's Borderline video, which video art really was starting to be a powerhouse in the early 80s. Via Warhol, why are you doing these paintings? Because it's a lot easier than, or these movies, a lot easier than painting. Total mockery again. He wrote later how much incredible hard work they are. And I'm here to tell you, building these videos like I do, whatever I do, is much harder than a painting. It's much more difficult than a painting. It takes me so long, the hours that I put into these things. But as it evolved, he called it, that popism was freaking, it was ridiculous. It was total mockery. So as it evolves, everybody's like, Warhol's movement's dead. No, Warhol's movement isn't dead. It's dead now, and it died 3/11/11. Now, I was starting my post-ignorance movement. I've had my post-ignorance movement in my head since 1994, the day they signed NAFTA. You got to remember, I'm an economist. I'm a finance, derivative arbitrage guy, with an incredible finance freaking scope. I mean, I could go on for hours and hours. Everybody knows. I mean, I was a derivative arbitrage specialist on Wall Street. And you don't think that's complex? Oh, boy. But anyway, as it evolved, I wanted to do post-ignorance in correlation with the 1911 shirtwaist fire, which was the birth of the progressive movement, which was Gogh, which was rooted in such incredible repression. And I knew that the time was right. I knew the time. And I knew that the Tea Party activism was pure. It wasn't even AstroTurf. It was purely staged by the John Birch radicals that took over this country via 1980 to present, which I go back, and it's very important that people understand. I go back to the day that John Lennon was murdered. Again, right there, saw that. And again, the whole concept of Warhol and, Elton John, the artist movement, Bob Dylan, but it was Warhol. It was him. The rest of them weren't calling out the mockery. He was calling out the mockery. Now, Dylan was taking the other side of his serious art, which he's still up to. You go watch him, you won't even turn it. He'll play 500 fucking concerts a year, and he won't even turn. He's back to you, which I think says everything. And, Edie's, my incredible piece of art in my head is video, and it's Warhol's interview with Edie with Griffin. I think it's the most important freaking thing ever, and I'm going to redo that with my Edie. First, I got to find my Edie. I've been looking for her my whole life. Then again, popism gone haywire, gone acute, gone hyper madness, because there's plenty of beautiful girls that look like Edie, but do they have the brain of Edie? Fuck no. There's a problem. Now we have intelligent, brilliant intellect. Do they have the beauty? No. So it's this cross-cultural fucking dynamic that's gone fucking muck. So I'm climbing that. So I'm in Washington Square. By the way, that's where the shirtwaist fire happened. Those girls were marching by the many fountains. They were all girls, and the cops were beating their faces. They were killing girls, hanging them in their fucking cells. And I want to refer to this, too, to Megan Rice's interview yesterday when she says, well, I seen it yesterday. I don't know when it was taped. She says, the reporter says, you're telling me over 300 million people are completely wrong, and she says, use my words, not yours. She's right. She's right. We are modern day abolitionists. That's who you are, Thomas Ackermann. That's who I am. That's who Jan is. We are human rights activists that are standing in the face of contemporary popism gone a fucking wire. It's gone fucking crazy. It's hypered out this ultra-competitive fucking nothingness that we've turned into. Harriet Beecher Stowe stood on an island against slavery, as you talk about in, Catholicism. Slavery was accepted in the Christian community. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? She would quote out the Bible over and over and over. She stood on an island. The group of abolitionists in this country were so small. By the way, the church in Brooklyn, which I visit, I love to walk right by there, right by the Masonic Temple, was built by abolitionists. I have some photos I'm going to put in my book. I think it's such ground zero. And then back to Megan Rice. But it's gone fucking crazy. So I'm timing my movement I'm in Washington Square. I'm, leading up. I'm talking to the people who started Occupy. They're freaking, my words are going in, as you say, the free radicals, the delivery system for post-ignorance. Look, without the idea, as I say, here's my line. This is my quintessential line for post-ignorance. Simply, it's not the idea of painting, it's not the painting of the soup can, it's the idea to paint the soup can. Now that comes up that's a quote from the Warhol critic who turned on to Warhol. But then you have to paint the soup can. That's mine. Then you have to paint the soup can. That's so fucking important. So the idea has to be there. I'm the idea. Education, my videos. The last video I just watched of yours, your dissertation should be watched in every fucking college, fucking university in the world. It's brilliant. It's magnificent. It is a brilliant dissertation. It says it all. It's about knowledge, post-ignorance. We're countering ignorance. So how do you counter ignorance? Just by definition, knowledge. So I'm trying to time it for the 1911 shirtwaist fire. These guys that started Occupy know me. They'll say, some of them would admit it. It went from freaking my mouth to their ear. They'll tell you that. Other ones, I disagreed with the name, but the movement had everything it had, but it lacked intensity. It lacked certain cross-cultural knowledge, which post-ignorance has. Post-ignorance has culture in history, in economics, in art history, and you can never have a movement, never a sexual movement, who's not rooted in art history and art. It has to be, originality. It has to be strong, it has to be intense, and it has to be passionate. And it has to have a delivery system. Okay, the idea is there. So without the idea, you don't have it. But without the delivery system of the idea, you don't have it. You have to have both. It's so powerful that you have both. So I'm trying to time it. I'm in Washington Square. Scraping, all over. Well, I'm back, so I'm getting ready to go to Washington Square for the correlation of the day. Well, what happens? 3/11/11. Fukushima happens. It changed everything. Thus, popism dead right there. Popism fucking dead right there. It's gone. Because it took a whole new thing. Because we can't talk about our economic world. We can't compete as Warhol called it out back in those days. People competed by looks and sexuality. Do you think he picked those you want to talk taste? Edie Sedgwick, my God. The vulnerability of that girl, Trixie, his other one with the skirt, and his taste was so powerful. His mind was so powerful. I don't think even I wish he would have been killed by the doctor. And by the way, I was almost killed the same way. I wish he would have never died. It was a sad tragedy. I would love to hear his take today. I don't think we would have gone as a wire if his tragic death wouldn't have happened. I think he would have been calling it out through his in the intense mockery. And for somebody to sit and listen to him talk or eat a hamburger on YouTube and think, oh, he's kind of a doofus. Look, he played you like the fools that you are. He played everybody like the fools that they were. By himself. All alone. The only one that really got him, understood him, was Edie. And look what happened to her. Those two got it. Those two got it. And I wish they both wouldn't have died. It's tragic that they passed. If they wouldn't have died, I don't think this would have happened. I think those two would have, I think the artist he would have put a stop to this fucking madness. He would have called it out in a fucking mockery. So now that 311, we can't compete by looks and sexuality like he, in a Freudian way, like he called out. We can't compete that way. We can't compete by economics. We can't compete. Who's got the biggest house and piece of shit? Who's got the most fucking, these worthless paper dollars? We can't compete that way anymore because there's nuclear fallout giving us cancer. Now, as I call it, then I get cancer. On 11/11/11, I'm into the bone marrow transplant. People need to know this too. Me being alive today is such an intense, incredible fucking miracle. I mean a miracle. I was giving no shot. In so many ways, most of my videos I've done, I'm in very critical condition, against the advice of my doctors. And I said, I will not go down swinging. I have no chance. The type of leukemia I have, from nuclear fallout, not just via my father being nuked to death in the Nevada test site, and I will say this right here, and I'll leave it there. Oh, cursed spike was I ever born to set this right. I've always said that I've been living in the country of Western version of Hamlet. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, am I. And that's what this is. This is free radicals delivering post-ignorance. It's a powerful little beast that's going to grow. It's a peaceful movement. It's about love. It's about love just like Andy was. It's just, you know, and I don't even like using the word Andy because I use him Warhol, Mr. Warhol. And that's how I'm going to start referring to him as Mr. Warhol. He was a powerful, powerful, brilliant, brilliant mind who mocked even these fuckers of today. And it's over. Popism is fucking dead, and it died 3/11/11. Cancer. There's 75,000 people that have already died from Fukushima in North America today, and we know this. And I think that number's low. It's fucking killing in droves. And tell people wake up, and we are the modern-day abolitionists. We're the Harry Beecher Stowe. We're standing on an island. We're the Tom Browns, but we are in a peaceful way, as she was. As Abraham Lincoln said to her, so you're the little lady who started the war. It's so true that she did start the war. And we're human rights activists. Popism is human rights in its purest form that crosses across cultural boundaries, economically, philosophically, but environmentally, because that's the top of the heap. It's about it's where the wind blows, it's where the water flows. How can you compete in any form when you're going to get cancer? I'm here to tell you. I was devastated. I'm economically destroyed because of the cancer. You don't think I think differently than I thought? Fuck. How could I not? I've been fucking... I mean, I went to 119 pounds from 173. I'm life support for a while. I mean, I'm still very sick, so that's where we are. And by the way, your video that I just watched is absolutely brilliant. There's a reason that it's Thomas Ackermann and his free radicals and Kevin Blanch have joined together through social media to do this. It's important that we grow this in an intelligent way.